there, I hope that you have been well. Welcome back to this channel, and if you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe. Put your notifications bell on so that you can get notified every single time I post a video. This channel is definitely about life abroad, study abroad, and all that comes around with it. I really tell you as it is so that you can have all the information before you make that choice. And I hope that you have been having some good information from this channel and that you are making some steps towards maybe moving abroad or going to study abroad, or even to work abroad, wherever it is. I really do wish you the very best, and I do hope that this channel has been of help to you. So now, as you saw on the title of this video, it's just the pros and cons of living in Lisbon. So this is a little bit of a different video from the norm, but I decided to do this video because lots of you have been asking to move to Portugal and what it's like to actually live in Lisbon. So as some of you may know, I have actually lived in Porto, which is in the north of this country. I've also lived in Faro, which is in the south of this country, and now currently live in Lisbon. So there are several things as to why you definitely want to move to Portugal. Of course, one being the weather, of course the lower cost of living as compared to other Western Europe countries and cities, and of course the fact that, you know, there's a better quality of life and many other things that come about with that. However, it is important to realize that Lisbon has now become one of the most sought out cities to come, for people to come and actually live in here. So it is important to realize that Lisbon has now become one of the most sought out cities for people to actually move in and settle in, unlike other major cities like London, Paris, Rome, and so on and so forth. So many people are coming to Lisbon to live here for good, and some of them may be working remotely, others looking for jobs right here, and others moving through the tech visa, and others through studies, and so on and so forth. So now Lisbon is one of the cities that you want to move into, because, so we will start with the pros of moving into Lisbon, because I have lived it myself so far 2 years, and I can tell you for a fact there are ups and downs of living in this city. So what are the pros? Let's start with the good. So one of the things that you will realize very quickly once you come to Lisbon is the fact that it's a very international community. So which means that you will find people from all walks of the world. So you will find people from Brazil, people from Angola, Mozambique, you know, Kenya like me, you know, the US, people from pretty much everywhere who have come to also settle in right here. So which means that maybe in your work environment or maybe in your social gatherings, you might have people from quite a number of countries, which is a good thing because at least you get to interact with other cultures, you get to know people from different places, and that way you are able to understand the world in a better way, which is a very good way to do it actually without actually traveling. So that's one of the most positive things. However, this comes with a downside to it, because now Lisbon experiences a lot of tourism. So we can call it over tourism. So which means that so many people now visit the city just because either they're curious, maybe they've seen quite a number of photos, maybe they've had good vibes and all that kind of thing, and they want to come and visit and see for themselves. So the over tourism means that perhaps during the summer months and even some winter months, you might find quite a number of people in the city center, especially in areas in Baixa, Chiado, and so on and so forth. People on their scooters, people on their tuk-tuks, which can be a little annoying. So that can be a downside to it. However, the city is still a really nice place to actually experience. However, it was not designed for this much of over tourism, so that's a downside to it. Now, going back to the pros, another pro that you might realize here is the fact that the cost of living as compared, and I will put this as disclaimer, as compared to other Western Europe countries, could be lower but of course now factoring in the inflation, things are becoming quite different as it is. So one of the things that you might realize is of course the fact that things to do with groceries, things to do with day-to-day life could be a little cheaper, of course, than other Western Europe countries. However, things to do with accommodation can be quite the mind-boggling thing in this city, because one, there is quite a lot of population, and of course the fact that, you know, most landlords would want people who are on the long term, so of course they will have higher prices even in the city center. And the commercialization of it, the fact that we have a lot of tourism in the city, then some of the landlords might want to actually have their properties on Airbnb. So there is that fact, so you need to be aware of that. However, if you would like to have a lesser of rent, perhaps it's important to move away from the city, because a little further away from the city, then you're able to maybe find accommodation that is not as expensive here. And of course this depends on your pocket, it depends on your budget, depends on several other things, where you're working, and so on and so forth. However, the general cost of living as compared to other cities is definitely lower. However, the inflation, like I said before, is changing things up, and you have to do the budget and do the math so that you can be able to actually keep living in this city sometimes. So now, another pro of living in this city is the fact that, you know, everything is very interconnected, and the public transport is quite great. However, some buses might not be on time sometimes, but you can easily use the metros, the trains, the buses, the funiculars. If you're someone who likes to use scooters, yes, you can use scooters in this city. Cycling, not so much, because there are not so many places to actually cycle. However, if you are into it, then you can find your way around it. And that is one of the factors that is actually very attractive to this city, because you can be able to move around even late at night with ease without worrying about where to go. And of course the use of Ubers and Bolt is quite something, because, you know, it's so easy to use an Uber or a Bolt. It's actually a much lower cost, which is a very good thing in Lisbon. However, of course, the fact that, you know, so many people want to use scooters, so many people want to use bicycles, sometimes it can be a bit of a mind-boggling thing, because some of them might leave them on the streets, and you can get annoyed about that, because you'll find them on the streets just lying around, and you could easily you know, bump yourself onto them without the knowledge of the fact that there's a scooter ahead of you as you walk. So that is quite annoying. However, the city is very well interconnected. Wherever you want to go, whether it's Lisbon Central or the more metropolitan areas, these are very interconnected. Now, one other thing, of course, everyone is always seeking is the quality of life as well as the weather. So of course Lisbon is going to give you a very good quality of life, because now we have almost 300 days of sheer sunshine, so which means that our winter is not as bad. However, this comes with a downside to it, because during winter you will find that your house could be quite cold, because Portuguese houses are not designed per se for winter, so which means that they are not insulated. Most of the houses would not be insulated, which means that you will feel very cold during winter inside the house as opposed to when you are outside. So sometimes it's good to just spend some time outside during winter as opposed to in your house. So that's a downside to it. However, the weather is good all year round, and you will not complain that much, as well as the quality of life means that it's easy to get to the beach and get to maybe do a hike, maybe in a nature trail or something of the sort, and also get to socialize in the middle of you know, in the city center, and so on and so forth. So it's easy to have different kinds of things. So the beach, the nature, the city life, all in one in Lisbon. So which means that at least you do not miss out on several other things. However, also this comes with a downside to it, because sometimes you might not even have that work-life balance, because in some cases you might find some jobs would have you working for quite a long period of time, and you don't have so much time on your own at the end of the every day. However, if you have the weekends, which is in most cases here, you would be able to enjoy these places. Or depending on your type of job, if you're working on a shift job, then you can be able to enjoy your off days and go to these places, whether it's the beach, whether it's a nature trail, whether it's hanging out in the city center, then that is up to you. However, this is also a very, very positive thing. Depends on a person, obviously, depends on your working hours, the type of job that you find, and so on and so forth. Now, talking about jobs, so is it easy to find jobs in Lisbon? Yes and no. So it really depends, because now it depends on what you're looking for, your skill set, as well as, you know, how flexible you are and all these kind of things. So I will leave a few links of where you can actually find jobs in Lisbon, and this would be, for instance, of course, LinkedIn comes in very handy. We have places like Net Empregos, we have indeed.pt, and so on and so forth. So I will leave a link, some links for you to check out some job boards if you're looking for a job. However, this is obviously not guaranteed. You have to put your best foot forward. But if you're listening to this and you're wondering, how can I come to Lisbon and maybe work, and maybe if you have a good skill set, now the Portuguese government, I have talked about this before, the Portuguese government has what we call a tech visa. So this is a visa for highly qualified and skilled workers who would be able to actually come in here, apply for certain jobs. There's a list of companies. I will also leave the link down below so that you can be able to peruse through these companies and see whether you actually fit in any one of them. So what would happen is, of course, you apply for a job in any one of those companies and listed on that list, and then of course if you are taken because maybe your skill set matches what they're looking for, then of course the company begins the process of helping you perhaps do your visa. So if you're listening to this, if you're in Kenya and you're looking into that, then the tech visa way would also be a very good way to look into it and see whether you actually qualify or not. So the other thing, of course, is the fact that when you come to work in Lisbon, and maybe comparing, for example, I am Kenyan, and you know, the fact that I used to work in Kenya and it was quite stressful in terms of the commute to work and commute back from work was quite a mind-boggling thing for me. So of course you will feel the difference, because now in Lisbon, like I said before, the transport is quite interconnected, which means that you might not spend so much time on the road as you go to work, because if you're using public transport, for instance, and maybe you're using the metro and the train, then there will be no traffic for you and it will be quite straightforward, which means that it will be easier, a little bit of an easier life as you work here. So the pros of working here would definitely be the fact that you work in a very international community. You are able to also have some sort of interaction depending on the type of job that you choose during your off time, and you're able to meet new people, you're able to open your mind into different things, and so on and so forth. Now, another thing that is definitely very positive about living in Lisbon is the fact that you would be in a position to also travel very easily into other different European countries. So if you're coming from a non-European country, then of course once you are assimilated into the system and you are well documented, then you can be able to actually also travel within Europe and get to see the other countries, because some people actually sometimes used to ask me, whether are you where is Portugal, where is it in Spain, or is it even in Europe, or where is it? So yes, Portugal is actually in Europe, guys. So once you come to Portugal, you can be able to visit other European countries and also be able to understand their type of life and so on and so forth. However, the con about this is the fact that there is a lot to do with paperwork. So this is something that you know, we definitely have to talk about in this video, because usually in any of the foreign countries you have to do quite a lot of paperwork for you to be able to get assimilated, and in Portugal the same happens. So I can tell you for a fact that sometimes you would have to do quite a lot of documentation, quite a lot of paper work, especially in the immigration and you know, getting yourself a residence card, for instance, and so on and so forth. You might want to have some documents even from your own country, which could be an uphill task. However, it can be done. So it needs quite a lot of patience, please. So if you're planning to come over to Portugal, please, it doesn't even matter whether it's in Lisbon or whether it's in Portugal, in Porto or in the Algarve. You do need quite a lot of patience with the paperwork, because it's going to take a long period of time. However, it is worth the wait for sure. So don't be discouraged about that. Just give it some time, and of course in due time things will show up for you. So another thing that you definitely love about Lisbon is the food, because Lisbon has lots of restaurants that have seafood, because Portugal is very well known for their Mediterranean cuisine. So you would definitely love it, and the fact is that they are very affordable restaurants, so you would not have to break your pockets you know, when you eat out, whenever you know you eat out, really. And there are lots of varieties. My favorite Portuguese food is definitely the bread, the Portuguese bread. Having lived here for such a long time, I still love their bread so much so. But of course, if you're into seafood, if you're into things to do with octopus, the fish, and all these kind of things, then this is your place to be for sure. And the downside to it is the fact that you might not like the seafood so much. And each dish could be served with potatoes or rice, which might not be your cup of tea, but it's okay, really. You will get used to it. That's the Portuguese way. You possibly would not like the olive oil that they have, but it is a very, very good thing. It's so easy to get used to it, honestly. And these are the kind of things that you might expect. One other positive thing about Lisbon and generally in Portugal is the healthcare. So which means that when you come here and you are well documented, even if you're a tourist, it's easy to access the healthcare. The public healthcare system here is very, very well streamlined, which means that you know, for a very small fee you can be able to see a doctor in case you would need to see a doctor in the public hospital without having to break your pocket. Even if you do not have a private insurance, then you can be able to see your doctor. If you are a resident here, then you would possibly need to have what they call numero de utente, and the numero de utente now gives you access to a personal doctor, which again needs a little bit of patience, because you might not get that personal doctor immediately, but it is definitely worth the wait. However, if you visit any public hospital, then you would be able to get the services that you require at a very affordable amount. Of course, the other thing that I would like to end this video with is the safety in Lisbon. Of course, just like any other capital city, you will find some areas which you know, there is a lot of pickpocketing and other small crimes that happen, and just like any other capital city, there are some areas which you can connotate as not as safe, while others are quite safe. Most of the places are definitely safe, so which means that you can be able to even walk around even at night all alone without anyone actually harming you. So this is a very good and positive thing. In fact, Portugal has been rated the third most peaceful country in the world, so that's also a very positive thing to note as you try to come to Portugal. Now, I do hope that this video is not quite too long, but these are some of the things that you can expect. I really just mishmashed all the pros and cons all together, but just to give you a small overview of what it's like to live in Lisbon. And I do hope that if you're planning to move into Lisbon, then you can either decide to come via studies, or maybe come via maybe the tech visa, for instance. That way you are able to begin building your own life in your small way, depending on what are your future plans. So I do wish all the best for you. As you listen to this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know whether you have any other questions that you would like me to address in consequent videos. And until next time, please stay subscribed, share this video, and have a good one. Bye.